Hey everybody, I'm Jesse, and welcome to another edition of Gen X Thinks. And today, since it's Sunday, I'm going to talk about science and religion and kind of clarify a little bit about what I believe. Because I get some people who are, I wouldn't say they're upset, but I think they're misconstruing what I'm saying, and the fault is mine. So I'm going to clarify a little bit. So I keep talking about this theoretical science and these theories that science, and that's exactly what they are. They're theories. Now, to believe a theory and follow it, just accept it. Let's say, you absolutely must have faith. You have to believe something that without any proof at all. And that is the exact same thing that religions do. So I'm not disparaging one or the other. I'm just pointing out the fact that you must have faith to accept these theories as fact, the same way that religious people must have faith to accept the theory of God as fact. God is a theory, just like the Big Bang, right? It's just that some people choose to believe and have faith in one, and some people choose to believe and have faith in the other. Where I have problems coming into this, and what I've realized throughout my life is how one side or the other can disparage each other, and like they're just completely full of shit, and they're doing the exact same thing. They're having faith and believing in something that there is absolutely no proof of. It cannot be proven. The Big Bang, for instance, or evolution, and they cannot be proven. God cannot be proven. There's only evidence. We have evidence for all these things. We have evidence for God. We have evidence for the Big Bang. We have evidence for evolution. Okay? But we have absolutely no proof. So we must rely on faith and belief. And that's my point. So someone who insists on trusting the science will disparage someone who goes to church and questions the science. Someone who absolutely believes in trusting God will disparage someone who believes in the Big Bang or whatever. So I'm not disparaging either party. I'm sitting in the middle here in my brain trying to figure it all out. Okay? I have chosen to believe in God because there's just more evidence to me than there is of a Big Bang. Now, having said that, there is too much evidence of evolution. All right? There's just too much evidence. You can't just be overwhelmed with evidence and just push it aside and say, no, the Bible says no, so no. Now, I can't do that because my mind rebels against that. My mind rejects that notion to just push aside evidence and call bullshit on it. I can't do that. If there's too much evidence for something, then I must at least entertain the idea of it. I can't just push it completely aside and say no because somebody else told me no. My mind won't let me do that. So what does my mind tell me? My mind tells me that must be incorporated into all of reality with God. For me, and I don't know how many people are out there who believe like me or who are in the center like me, just kind of questioning things and trying to figure things out. But for me, it boils down to this. We have atheists and we have, believers in God, whatever you want to, Christians, let's say. But there are many different gods and many different religions, but I'm going to use Christians in this thought experiment. We have atheists and Christians. I consider myself a Christian, even though I question organized religion. I don't, that does not, I don't believe that Christianity and following Christ is necessarily needs organized religion. That's what I'm trying to say. So, atheists and Christians, all right? Now, if the atheists are right, okay, and when we die, nothing happens. We just disappear. Just vanish back into the void. All right? It will not matter that I'm a Christian. What I chose to believe in God will not matter at all for the rest of eternity. It will not matter. The only time it mattered was this little eye blink of a time I spent on earth, and what I chose to believe or not believe, and how I live my life here on earth. Because if the atheists are right and there's nothing after this life, then it won't matter. They just won't. Now, if Christians are right and we are judged after this life, then it's going to matter a whole lot for eternity. So I am risking a flip of the coin on eternity. Eternity. All right? So to me, that is a no-brainer. If I could bet $100,000, if I could take $100,000 to Vegas right now and put it all on red, and if it lands on black, I lose nothing. But if it lands on red, I, win $100 billion. Yeah, I'm going to be on the first plane to Vegas, and everyone would. But when we're talking about religion and spiritual things, that idea just gets rejected. Okay? Now, why? Why is that? Because we've been handed down, and just like on one side you're pushed, God is pushed, and Christianity and tithe and pay and all this organized religion stuff, right? That is pushed down. And on the other side, the same thing, all the bad stuff about Christianity, the Crusades and all that stuff, the pedophiles and all that stuff, everything bad about Christianity, the organized Christian religion is pushed down from the other side. So it's all forced down on children, and then we grow up and believe in. And sometimes when organized religion is pushed down on you, you rebel to the other direction instead of accepting it. Some of us accept it and grow up in that. Some of us rebel against that. And same thing the other way. When all that anti-religion is pushed down, and some of us accept it and grow up in it, and some of us rebel against that. So that's really the point in all of it, is that there's no right or wrong answer. It's just what you choose to believe and have faith in. If you want to have faith in scientists and the Big Bang and all this stuff, all these theories they're coming up with, that's fine. That's your choice. But as a common sense person, as a real thinking human being, you cannot disparage me for having faith in something else. When you're displaying faith in these theories just every day, what you put your faith in around this world is up to you. I don't disparage you for having faith in science. I will, and I have pointed out the fact that having faith in these scientists who have agendas and who are lying to us, now that's a whole different story. Okay? Now these people who are just out there looking into the universe and trying to figure out how it started and stuff, that's a whole different category of science than the people who are the chemists who are mixing up drugs for the drug company and cooking up viruses in these covert labs and cooking up chemicals, trying to make our food more addictive and all this kind of shit. Right? Those are paid scientists who work for big companies, and they have an agenda. Every single one of them. And it is just so clearly obvious. I used to frame houses. That was my job, to frame houses. I needed to get walls built and put the house together, okay? If I showed up on my job and started working on a car, okay, changing people's tires and shit out there, they would have fired me. And that happened, and that is true in any job, any field, anywhere. If you don't show up and make that company money and do your job, you will be fired and you will be replaced with someone who will. Okay, so they don't hire a scientist to make these addictive drugs and food additives and stuff and then just let them go off on their own and do what they want. They've got to produce these addictive drugs and food additives and all this other stuff. That's their job. And the same thing with the weather and all this, these climatologists. Now you've got just as many of these climatologists who've done studies over the last decades who say this is just a natural process that the earth goes through. All right. And then the other half of the climatologists say that this is impending doom. So the thing is that only the doomsayers get any traction in the media. They're the ones that get all of the publicity. The other ones are just ignored or, shouted down as conspiracy theorists and all this other shit. And to believe the ones who get all the media coverage and stuff, then you have to ignore all of the decades that we have lived through of all of the lies, the ice ages and the coming droughts and the coming, we were supposed to run out of oil by the year 2000 and all of the food was going to be depleted. We were going to be starving by 2010 or whatever, and then everything was going to end by 2020, and it's 2025 and we're still here. Everything's just fine. So all of those lies we were told before, you have to ignore those. Unless you were like born in 2015 or something and you're unaware of them. But still, people have faith in that stuff. They believe that stuff without any proof, very little evidence. And what evidence they do have is contrived and manipulated and created from nothing. It's just lies. So at the very least, we need to question this stuff. And I don't wholeheartedly embrace organized religion. I believe in God, and I believe that Jesus was the Son of God, and I believe that Jesus lived a perfect life and spoke nothing but the truth. I believe that truth and God are that's the same thing. God is truth, truth is God. Now, God is a lot of things, but I'm just saying on this one thing. God is truth. Truth is God. But my point is that I don't wholeheartedly embrace organized religion. There are just too many of them. They're all over the place with their beliefs, and I'm just talking about Christianity right here, right now. They're all over the place. Baptists, Mormons, the list goes on and on and on and on and on and on. So for me to just, roll some dice and pick one of them and say, oh, that's the one for me, I can't do that. So I've found a happy place in my mind and in my heart where I can settle down and just believe and have a relationship with God. But that does not mean that I completely disregard the science that we do have evidence for, like evolution. You can't disregard that. You gotta say, okay, there's something to this evolution thing. So, in my opinion, we need to use common sense and figure these things out and think about these things deeper, and not just trust and have faith in what other people tell us, but have trust and have faith in God. or in your experience with the world, right? In real science, because we have real science where there are no arguments. There were dinosaurs. They dug them up out of the dirt. Modern people today have eaten woolly mammoth meat because they dug them up out of the ice and there were woolly mammoths. This kind of stuff cannot be, just swept under the rug and hidden away and forgot about, because these things have, not if you really want to understand what's going on in the universe and in our lives and with God and with science. So they're digging up these things out of the dirt and they're discovering new things all the time. They're discovering all these ancient civilizations that we knew nothing about. And you can't just, I don't know, I'm not going to say you. I cannot just ignore that stuff. I cannot just, act like it's not happening. Those real sciences, archaeology, biology, these things where they have real things and they're working with on planet Earth, not these things that they're theorizing that might have happened, 13.8 billion years ago, or might happen in 100 billion years in the future. For all we know, the universe can expand and contract and expand and contract like that. They've got this dark matter and dark energy stuff. And they have no idea what it is. That's just the label they put on it. Dark matter and dark energy. They could have named it blue matter and blue energy, or wood matter and wood energy, or car matter. They could have labeled it anything. But they called it dark matter and dark energy. They can't detect it. They can't see it. It's not there. But they see galaxies and stuff, and how these galaxies are acting around this stuff, so they suppose something's there. That is, now, to me, something undetectable like that, dark matter, dark energy. Now, these things can be just the presence of God, the energy of God, spiritual energy, whatever you want to call it. That is just as plausible as anything they can come up with. But if that stuff can expand the universe, and this just makes sense, it's just completely common sense stuff. If that stuff can expand the universe, then it can contract the universe. Like that. So my point is that this whole dark, cold universe theory out there, where the universe is just going to expand apart and fly apart and turn into, and just go dark, just go quiet, just burn out like a bulb. No, that's not. I just can't buy that. That doesn't sit well with me. But that'll take some thought. To think billions of years in the future, each person has to, formulate their own ideas and figure out what they're comfortable with. But to me, that like a breathing motion, it just fits better with what we know of the universe. It's natural. It's, nothing just expands forever and dies like that. It's a respiration thing. The tide, look at the tide. The tide goes out and comes in, and goes out and comes in. Our lungs go out and go in, and go out and go in. Everything. So why wouldn't the universe follow that same kind of pattern that we see inside the universe? Nothing just flies apart and disappears. So I don't know. But these are the kind of things I find interesting, and they make me think. And I hope that you will think about these things too, because these Sunday episodes that I've been doing are really focused on people like myself who are in the middle and they're kind of questioning things, and maybe that it might open up some avenues of questions for you. Okay? Maybe you have questions about organized religion. Maybe you have questions about science. Maybe you have questions about God, about our place in the universe and our place on this planet. And I think that is part of God's plan for us, is to seek the truth. Even if we don't hit it spot on, if we're seeking it from ourselves and not just taking whatever someone says and accepting it, right? We seek it for ourselves. I think that is closer to God's plan for us than the other. To seek, to learn, to grow. And I just feel better inside myself when I'm asking these questions and figuring stuff out for myself, instead of just, closing my eyes and blindly accepting whatever someone else tells me, whether it's a scientist or a priest. And that's just me. But hopefully what I've learned and the questions I've come up with might help somebody else. Even if it's just one person, it's worth it. And I'll leave you there with that. If you enjoyed this episode, please like, subscribe, and comment. If you'd like to support the channel by becoming a member, I'll leave that link down in the description, or you can head over to the channel page and become a member that way. If you'd like to support the channel directly, you can do so by clicking on that super thanks button down there. Or you can head over to Buy Me a Cup of Coffee and buy me a cup of coffee. I'll put that link down in the description too. If you're interested in Gen X gear, we got a lot of cool stuff over there at Redbubble. T-shirts, coffee mugs, stickers, Gen X Thinks and Gen X branded stuff. So feel free to go check that stuff out if you're interested. I'll put that link down in the description as well. If you can't or don't want to support the channel in any of those ways, you can always do so by sharing these videos on your social media. That helps out a lot. Thank you very much to those of you who do that. I sincerely appreciate it. If you have any ideas for future episodes of Gen X Thinks, please put those down in the comments. Or you can email us, and the email is genxthinks@gmail.com. And as always, stay frosty, Gen X, and I'll see you on the next one.